Diego Lopes versus Jean Silva will be taking place this weekend, and this very well may be the beginning of the downfall of Diego Lopes. Let's get into it. Pour one out for Diego Lopes, man. Your time has come. Diego Lopes has become one of the UFC's breakout names, but next weekend he might have finally met his brick wall. Jean Silva, aka the barking dog, is coming for him, and there's nothing we can do. My official prediction for this fight is Jean Silva by finish. I believe that this is going to be one of the best fights of the year. Whether this fight stays standing or on the ground, I just think these guys are extremely competitive and well matched, so hats off to the matchmakers for this fight. Even though I would have much rather seen Yair Rodriguez versus Diego Lopes just because of the beef behind it, but this is just equally as good, man. Diego Lopes is known for his explosive, aggressive, and just overall fan-friendly style, but there's one main issue with him. He fights with his chin floating in the freaking air, man. Before making this video, I went back and looked at Diego's UFC record so far, and I never noticed how questionable his record actually is. I think us as UFC fans have all been gaslit by people like Dana White to believe that he has been on this incredible run, when in reality, he lost his first 2 UFC fights and then went on a bit of a streak. But when you really look at those wins, he beat Dan Ige, and if you remember, he stepped in on 1 day's notice. Obviously, it was still a good fight and counts as a win, but his opponent only had 1 day's notice. And then after that Dan Ige win, he fought Brian Ortega. I was really hyped for this matchup, but when you really look at it, that win has aged extremely poorly. I truly believe that Brian Ortega has been out of his prime for quite a while and just doesn't have that same motivation to fight anymore, hence why he keeps missing weight. And then obviously his most recent fight, he lost to Volkanovski, which there's absolutely no shame in that. At times it was a competitive fight, but then you also got to remember, Volk is also out of his prime. But you know what, I'm not going to hold that against him. Volk is extremely high level. But if I'm really breaking down Jean Silva versus Diego Lopes, I truly believe that we've seen Diego's ceiling in the UFC. I think he's had a great run, he's shown some really incredible fights, but I just don't think he goes anywhere further than where he already has. The UFC's been really promoting Diego Lopes as this like next future champion and this really strong contender, and while he may have been a really good prospect, I think his resume is a little bit questionable, and as much as I like him as a fighter, I think he's been hyped up a little bit too much. Incoming this freaking annoying bald head, Jean Silva. Listen man, I like watching Jean Silva's fights, I think he's incredibly talented, but he's annoying. He is the last of the fighting nerds that is still undefeated. Obviously, we saw Caio Borralho and Rufi both get their O's taken this past weekend. It's a sad day, man. But I just think Jean Silva has the overall advantage in this fight. I believe he's the more well-rounded fighter. I think Diego Lopes, his main strength is just being aggressive and really coming out heavy in that first round. Whereas Jean Silva, he's extremely patient, he's calculated, and he carries extreme KO power. This guy's riding a freaking 5-fight finish streak in extremely violent fashion and also annoying fashion, man. Who barks over their opponent after putting them unconscious? Come on. I think the biggest route to victory for Diego Lopes would have been taking this fight to the ground, but we just recently saw Jean Silva submit Bryce Mitchell, someone who's an absolute technician on the ground, whether or not you want to give him credit. But Jean Silva's biggest strength is his striking. So I think he's proven that if it does go to the ground, he may not have the necessary advantage, but he can definitely hold his own in the grappling. And if it stays standing, I just think it's going to be trouble for Diego Lopes with his chin flying in the air. Jean Silva's also extremely defensively sound. Like, he doesn't make crazy mistakes or leave himself vulnerable to big shots like Diego Lopes does. When you really watch a couple of fights from Diego Lopes, it becomes evidently clear that he thrives in the chaos. He likes to make his opponent get into that firefight with him so that his opponent will make a mistake and Diego can capitalize on that. Where Jean Silva's not that guy, man. He's not him. He is him, but he's also not him. I don't think he's going to get into that chaotic firefight. I think he's going to wait for Diego to start swinging and then just try to counter him, because those shots really will be there. We saw it when he fought Volk, and if Volk had the KO power of someone like Jean Silva, Diego would have been out in those first 3 rounds. So like I said, Diego Lopes, his best chance to victory here is to drag Jean Silva to the ground very early on and just look for a finish while they're both dry. But like I said, the problem with that is Jean Silva is extremely patient. He's not going to give up his neck, and he's also not going to get knocked out, in my opinion. So this fight will have to stay standing. The aggression of Diego Lopes has really carried him against less disciplined fighters and against fighters that just aren't at his level. But I really think Jean Silva is going to be that brick wall for him. The minute that Diego Lopes gets aggressive, Jean Silva will punish that. I truly just believe that Jean Silva is the more durable fighter here. He's going to have the smarter game plan going into this fight. But hey man, you know what? All the fighting nerds have lost their O's except for this guy. Maybe it's time. Maybe Jean Silva will lose. I got to think with my brain, and I'm going Jean Silva by finish. But yeah, that's my prediction. Let me know what you guys think. Make sure you guys do drop a like on this video. Make sure to subscribe as well. I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.